This is what I can describe Jamal. Until last day of his life, he used to read any material wrote about him by Saudi journalist or whatever Emirati, and he used to cry if they describe him and painting him as a dissident. Jamal Khashoggi was not a dissident. You feel free to describe him the way you want, but I'm sharing as a wife what is the reality of my husband.
Okay. I know that there are some students who, did you want to ask a question,
please.
Nick? Go ahead. Introduce yourself first.
Yes. Hi, my name is Nick. Pleased to meet you. And of course, I want to take a moment to say sorry for your loss. But my question was, how do you balance love, loyalty, and fear?
With his experience, you're talking about Jamal, not about me.
With your relationship with Jamal and what he had, like what you got put into with him.
Okay, but you're asking about me or about Jamal?
I'm asking, how did you balance your love, your loyalty, and also your own fear?
Yes, about me, I was taken as this is the right way to support someone doing something good, because I believe as Hanan, it's not right to let a good people make the effort, pay the price alone. I believe if I convince about them view, I have to give a hand. I have to support. Plus, the love was there. We was a friend for 10 years before we get married. And he was married before. I'm the fourth wife of Jamal Khashoggi, by the way, but he divorced all wives before me. I'm an only wife for Jamal Khashoggi upon his death. I didn't know we in love. We was so adopt. Even when we got married, our test is the same. How to balance all of this? I see it as my duty as a woman, matured woman. She have a vision for her nation in Middle East about democratic, about freedom, about justice, equal right. Why I don't stand beside my lover? Why I don't get him support? By the way, as a Muslim woman, when we get married, we take something called mahar. He have to give me some money. You know how much was my mahar? Was 1 Saudi riyal. That's telling you, I never ask Jamal, what is your income? And I'm coming to this step by step, because I did face 3 challenges when I got Jamal. After I lost Jamal, I faced 3 challenges, and I'm happy to share it with you. I need to share it with you today, if you allow it me.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, first, the challenge I got after we got married to Jamal, first is his passport. Jamal, until he disappeared, he have Saudi passport, guys. Jamal did not have American or green card. Jamal Khashoggi had a visa from his friend, not from Washington Post. Jamal used to sell his article to Washington Post. His Saudi passport was a challenge for us, because if expire, he will have a pressure, like the Egyptian diplomat called Al-Baradei. They refused to renew his passport. Jamal didn't want to reach this stage. That's why he went to Turkey to buy a flat to get the passport. This is the first challenge. Second challenge, it was financially. We was living in a very low cost. I can tell you, Jamal retrieved some laundry item for our bed, and he told me, Hanan, I paid $30. I'm not willing to pay it again. From now on, you have to find a way to clean it home. Third challenge we face, Jamal family have Alzheimer. I didn't say it in the media before, but I will share it with you. His family have the disease to lose the memory when they grown. His father suffered from it for 10 years. His 2 sisters have it now. This was so scary for Jamal. Jamal need medical insurance. He need a shelter. He need some protection, which he have in Turkey, because Jamal, originally from Turkey. Jamal Khashoggi is not Saudi originally. 100 years back, his grandfather came to be a doctor for King Abdulaziz Al Saud. That's why he been loved and welcome, and he have a special treatment in Turkey. That's why my husband went to Turkey to buy a flat, to get the passport, to get the medical insurance, and to get the shelter. But I don't know anything about this Turkish woman. She appear in all media.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, and then we'll ask Randa afterwards, but you decided to come to the United States. You left Egypt, you left the UAE, you left everything that you knew, and you came to the United States alone, not knowing what would happen. You didn't have a job. You didn't have many friends. Why did you decide to come here? And what was that like in the first month being here?
Allowed me to go to another 3 challenge because it will answer your question. The day I lost my husband, it was a big challenge for me. Is not only losing my husband in a tragic way, and plus I didn't know exactly what happened with my husband. In the beginning, the Saudi authority, if you follow, did not admit it. They admitted in the 3rd week of November. The challenge I face and forced me to come here, and what I face later on, as soon I lost my husband, it's become like a tools. It become 2 group over my husband tragedy. One group, one alliance was United Arab Emirates, Saudi authority, because they are supporting no democratic. They try to dump the Arabic Spring, and Jamal was for them is a challenge and threat, because he supports the Arabic Spring, he supports democratic, he supports change in Middle East. This one alliance, and try to misuse me. That's why the intelligence got me. I'm talking about Emirati, Saudi, and of course Egyptian with them. The another alliance, which is also worse for me, which it was Turkey, Qatar, and Muslim Brotherhood. And to make it very clear, because I had this question recently, I've been criticized. They say, no, Qatari and Saudi have a good relation now. Qatari, they support, they very good with the Saudi. Muslim Brotherhood also love Saudi, because the Saudi royal family finance Muslim Brotherhood. I say it very clear. And I've been told by the advisor of Prince Tamim bin Hamad, the Prince of Qatar, I've been told by one of his advisors, they want to get rid of the Crown Prince by using Jamal tragedy. They don't want to get rid of Saudi royal family. The Muslim Brotherhood, they don't want to get rid of Saudi royal family. They want to get rid of the Crown Prince, to make it very clear.
Do you remember the first month that you came here, what it was like? And also, Randa, could you also reflect on that? What was the first month you were in the United States like for you?
As soon as I arrived to United States, I just landed in the airport. I couldn't believe I'm here in United States. I'm away from what I went through in United Arab Emirates, by being harassed, by being threatened, by being put in under house twice. Once before I lose my husband, once after I lost my husband. I couldn't take it anymore, because I reached the stage I couldn't even sleep. As soon as I landed in JFK airport, I didn't know what I'm doing. I didn't know what is my destiny, because I didn't have money, I didn't have a shelter, I didn't have a friend. I only have my lawyer, Miss Randa Fahmy. The only one stood beside me is Miss Randa Fahmy. She's a very wise woman. She is have a knowledge, and she's from politic background, which is enriching her for a lot. And as soon as I land, I said, Miss Randa, I'm in airport. I don't know where I'm going. I cannot take it anymore.
Yeah.
And from this moment, she gave me the shelter, and she said, no, you have to ask for asylum. Because I didn't even come and plan to ask for asylum. I didn't know what to do. I just want to live with my life. I don't want to face the destiny of my husband or my family as well, because they harassed all of us. Anyway, she gave me the shelter. She supported me until I get the work permission with help with Mr. Jimmy Raskin, the congressman. And then my life went on, because I tried to independent myself. And again, because I fall into these 2 confusing alliances, I spoke about it before, The third challenge for me is related to you, if you allow it to me to say, I'm facing a big problem with the journalism of, I call it this way, copy and paste. And please do not be in future copy and paste, because Miss Dana Priest, God bless her, I'm not complimenting her, this is a fact. She's the only one, she taking the step forward to dig in and to get the truth. One of the very simple information, all of the journalists in the world copy paste, is my husband by date of birth. If you just visit his son Twitter account, you will see his son wishing him 23rd of March every year. My husband born in 23rd of March 1958. If you visit my husband Facebook account, my husband put it there. This is one of the copy and paste journalism. Please do not be copy and paste journalism. Make your effort. Ms. Dana, please sit down with me 6 times where I was hidden before, because I don't feel safe of my life. I am very discreet, I'm isolated, my surrounding is very, very little because of the sensitivity of my issue, because Saudi, Emirati try to use me, Qatari, Turkey try to use me, I refuse. That's why I ran away here. That's why I ran away, to say the truth about my husband and not to be used. Please do not be a journalist in future of copy and paste. Be like Miss Dana Priest, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the copy and paste is very wise. So Randa, I want to bring you in now and talk about when Hanan first got here, what was your thought process? Like, what were you thinking? And then can you tell us a little bit about the campaign to get her a work permit and asylum?
Yeah, thanks, Dana, and thanks to all your students for today. So just to back up a little bit, how I met Hanan was actually in the spring of 2019. Out of the blue, she called me on WhatsApp, and I have quite a few international clients that communicate with me. So I answered it. It was a Saturday. And she said she received my name from a common friend. She was looking for a lawyer in the US, and she explained who she was. And my first reaction, because of the media coverage, was, this is the fiance from Turkey, because that's the woman we heard about. It became more clear to me that it was not the fiance, that this was Jamal's wife that we've never heard of. And she needed a lawyer. But why did she need a lawyer? I asked her. Well, she was married to Jamal in Virginia, and the people that married her, the religious leader, the imam, and the witnesses, refused to give her her marriage certificate. So I told her, send me all your materials over WhatsApp. There was a wonderful legal file. As a lawyer, it was a dream, because she had every documentation that we needed. And I decided to represent her in the marriage case. So as the marriage case was going on, starting in 2019, we decided to litigate in Virginia. I knew Hanan was in danger in the Emirates. We were very rarely communicating. The only time we communicated is her 24-hour turnaround as a flight attendant for Emirates Air. She'd fly into Dulles. She and I would meet, we'd download, she'd get back on the plane within 24 hours. So in 2020, when she arrived at JFK, as you all remember, in July of 2020, we were in the middle of COVID. She landed at JFK and was crying and basically said, Rhonda, I'm in JFK. I can't take it anymore. I said, is this on your flight path? She said, no, I'm done. I can't take it. And I said, okay, Hanan, first thing, you're going to declare political asylum. Okay. Second thing, get yourself on the train, get to Washington, get to my apartment. I have another home in New Jersey. I was not in my Washington home. I said, get into the home. I described for her how to get in, and I sheltered her for 1.5 years. During that 1.5 years, I secured 2 pro bono attorneys. There's a little women's empowerment theme going on here, along with Dana Priest, who's our Shiro. We have 2 Shiro lawyers who were representing Hanan in her political asylum case. I secured those lawyers along with myself, and we went ahead and filed for political asylum rather quickly. But as part of this process. It takes a long time to get a work permit. So generally people who apply for political asylum get no benefits, no rights, nothing. You have to rely upon the goodness of strangers. I was even surprised to see in the state of Maryland, it was mostly religious communities who help political asylees or charities. But I offered to shelter Hanan, and then I approached Jamie Raskin, my congressman, when I lived in Maryland in the Chevy Chase, Bethesda area. He was wonderful, understood the story, and helped us expedite the process to get Hanan a work permit. So when she was legally able to work, it was about a year and a half. It was December, I think, of 2021, when she secured that work permit. And now she is actively working, although, as Hanan said, not under her real name. It's very discreetly. She doesn't want people to know who she is, obviously, for
Yeah.
security reasons.
So could both of you, I told them a little bit about our discussions about whether Hanan would go on the record. Because remember, Hanan, we had spoken many times and it was always on background, and you had not decided whether to let your name be in the story, let your photograph be in the story. And we had a very, very heartfelt discussion at the very end where I said, you have to decide now. And it was difficult. Could Hanan first and then Randa, can you describe why you decided to go on the record, put your name in the story and your photograph?
Yeah, first, a lot of confusing and misusing of my husband tragedy for a different purpose. It's forced me, if they have a gut to build a fake stories about my husband, misusing his name, like what happened recently about Asim Ghafoor. That's irritated me. Second, you give me the strain, Miss Dana, when you dig in, when you investigate, and you give me by Citizen Lab and another repertory of ex-CIA, the one he can speak Arabic, you investigate in my devices, and you give me very solid evidence about I've been targeted and I've been used way back from 2017. And my case is very strong now. Now I have a gut because of your effort, because of your deep work, and because you are a transparent journalist. That's why it's give me a courage. I have to come up, and the student and the people, it is they have a right to know, to avoid this happen to anyone else. Because I did help you in the beginning. I didn't know I have evidence. I didn't know it's been spying me, and there is two spy material in me. It's not only NSO, it's Celebrate as well. But my tension when I hand you over my devices, I didn't know you before. Miss Randa told me, and I told you I trust you in behalf of her. I give you all of my evidence to save any journalist life. I didn't know you will give me a proof. I'm a victim myself. I didn't know it will be beneficial for me to give me a solid evidence to stand in American court and fought for my husband's justice. The reason I cooperate with you, it was to save these people's life, sitting with you and all journalists in the world.
Yeah.
This is what I can share with you.
Yeah, also, I think the debate back then, I remember it well, Dana, was she has family in the Middle East, in two countries in particular that were in danger. Both sets of families, her siblings, have been questioned, have been detained, have been blacklisted, have been threatened, had their devices taken as well. And we were very, very worried that if her identity was revealed and it was shown that indeed it was true, her devices were compromised by NSO spyware Pegasus, that her family would be in grave danger. And at the time I was working with Amnesty International and the US State Department to try to protect her family. Thank God, up until this point, there has been issues, but nothing life-threatening as of yet. I don't want to say too much about that because they're still there. But that was the question. Does she come out and reveal her identity and her name and tell people who she is for the first time? As you know, Dana, many of the Washington Post articles back in 2018, when Jamal was murdered, only identified her by her first name and maybe her last initial.
Yeah.
There were rarely pictures of Hanan on social media or anywhere. So it was a difficult decision, but I truly believe the right decision, because your article of December 2021 has become a quintessential article in describing her plight. And also from a legal perspective, it has provided us a lot of heavy artillery in our legal cases.
So can you now briefly describe the legal case that you're trying to, that you filed? Have you filed it yet?
No, we're still collecting our evidence and our causes of action. So the way we look at this, we have 3 different lawsuits. I'll start with the easiest one, of course, against the government of Saudi Arabia for killing her husband. And we can go into the immunity issue a little bit later, but it would be, of course, it wasn't, questionable, but certain the Crown Prince ordered it, but there were 12 guys, 12 merry murderers who were there and murdered her husband. Second case is against the government of the United Arab Emirates. Again, going back to your story of December 2021, through the good work of Citizen Lab and other forensic analysis, we have absolute proof that the government, in fact, a specific division of an intelligence unit within the government of the United Arab Emirates implanted spyware, not just NSO Pegasus spyware on Hanan's devices, but also Celebrite, which is a law enforcement tool that downloads all your material. We have reason to believe, and although we don't know which government did this, that Jamal also has infected devices as well. And Hanan and I are on a mission to secure those devices from the government of Turkey. And I can update you on that as well. When Jamal was murdered in Turkey, all of his devices were turned over to the Turkish government. So they have them right now. We're trying to get them back as part of our lawsuit and our evidence. And the third case, of course, again, one of what I call the easiest cases is NSO. NSO is a company, the NSO group based in Israel. They make the spyware Pegasus, and they sold it to the governments of both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and they continually train individuals on updates and how to use the spyware. And of course, under the law, they're also certainly liable. The thing about the NSO group has been they doth protest too much. In various articles, including your own, and in media interviews and 60 Minutes and others, everywhere you see them, it was, we never had anything to do with Jamal's murder. We never tracked Jamal's family. Now they're getting more specific because of our pending legal action. We never tracked, installed spyware on Hanan Khashoggi, Jamal's wife, which is, is empty denials. So those are our lawsuits. We are still preparing them with causes of action. Back to the issue, I think, which would be critical for us. At some point, we do believe Jamal's devices were infected. It's a little puzzling to us that no one has really chased this issue. But I decided to ask the government of Turkey through the ambassador in Washington, could you please turn over the devices? He told me, you got to go to court in Turkey. Okay, we're not going to go to court in Turkey, plus Hanan can't travel under political asylum. Then Hanan made an appeal directly to the Turkish president, and no response there, President Erdogan. So Hanan wrote a direct letter to the Director of National Intelligence of the United States, Director Avril Haines, appealing to her to use diplomatic measures to go to the Turkish intelligence as an ally of the United States and say, give us back Jamal's devices. He was a work visa holder. There are various lawsuits going on in the US, and this is critical evidence that we need. Now, we know Turkey has formally decided to move the trial to Saudi Arabia, but we still want those devices. And so I have been assured through DNI's offices that they are working on this in some aspect. I haven't been given a formal response yet, but I have an acknowledgement of Hanan's communications and had a private conversation with somebody very senior there.
Oh, so you have hope still?
We'll
Yeah,
see.
okay.
You know, we'll see. I mean, it's pretty clear his devices were infected. The question is, who implanted the NSO spyware on Jamal's devices? Was it Turkey? Was it the Emirates, where he was traveling frequently? Did they install it in 2017 in Saudi Arabia before Jamal came to the US? Who installed it? And is that how they were tracking him? And if so, they're an accessory to murder.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Okay. And then finally, could you talk about the immunity, and then we'll, sorry, you guys.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the recent immunity?
Yes. Sure.
With affect your cases?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a pending lawsuit right now that the fiance from Turkey, along with the organization called Democracy for the Arab World Now, an organization supposedly that Jamal founded. And I say that because facts kind of look otherwise. So they're the joint plaintiffs in a lawsuit in the District of Columbia for the murder of Jamal. In that lawsuit, which has been going on for about two years, I think now, since 2020, the judge itself asked the Biden administration to make a ruling because the Crown Prince is a defendant in the lawsuit as Crown Prince. So the judge in the case went to the Biden administration and said, I need to know, does the Crown Prince have immunity? Now, normally he wouldn't, but the Saudis got shrewd and clever and too cute by half. And the king of Saudi Arabia pretty much is not with it. So the Saudis got together and decided, because of this lawsuit, weeks before a decision was to come out, to single-handedly make the Crown Prince, promote him to prime minister. In all accounts under international law, prime ministers are designated heads of state under the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Principle. And so in America, foreign sovereign immunity, when you hold heads of state immune, is actually something that is based in common law, in our constitutional law, and in international law. And when the Biden administration's Justice Department was asked to make a decision, they had no choice. I mean, the guy became prime minister a couple of weeks before that. Of course, he's head of state. They have no option. Now, what I will point out is this. The judge doesn't have to accept that decision. The judge in the court case can say, we've been advised by the Biden administration, there's, sovereign immunity for the Crown Prince, but we say no way. So that's the first thing. They don't have to accept that. They are not bound under it. There are also exceptions to foreign sovereign immunity. There are 5 exceptions. The 4 of them I won't go into, a little too technical, but there is a 5th exception called the terrorism exception. And one can argue, as a lawyer, that the way in which Jamal was monitored, captured, and killed, particularly tortured, could fall under that terrorism exception. And if so, then the Crown Prince isn't immune. That's an exception. Take 9/11. There are lawsuits ongoing since September 11th, 20 years later now, that are falling under that terrorism exception, where some plaintiffs are claiming that the government of Saudi Arabia was behind 9/11 in funding and instructing that terrorist act in America. So the last thing is there are fundamental flaws in that existing lawsuit, which draws differences from ours. So for instance, the plaintiffs in that lawsuit are the Turkish fiance and this organization that Jamal supposedly founded. The fiance has no ties to America. Why is she filing a case in America? So in the law, we call it jurisdictional ties. She never came to America. She was never married to Jamal. She never stepped foot in America. There's no ties to the United States of America. Why is she filing a case there? The second thing is the plaintiff, Democracy in the Arab World Now, is claiming they lost their executive director and president, but IRS filings show that organization wasn't formally filed as an organization until after Jamal was killed, 2019. So there are fundamental flaws with that existing lawsuit. I wouldn't be surprised if the judge in the District of Columbia dismisses that lawsuit purely on jurisdictional grounds, which means you guys have no ties, you have no business in this court, you have issues, go file somewhere else, but not in the US.
Yeah.
Hanan, on the other hand, let's take Saudi Arabia, okay? Jamal was certainly killed in Turkey. However, Hanan and Jamal were married in Alexandria, Virginia. They lived as husband and wife in Alexandria, Virginia, okay? Lots of jurisdictional ties. Hanan and Jamal were spied upon. We think Jamal certainly, but we know Hanan via the NSO group under the direction of the Emirates, possibly the Saudis, in the United States of America, in Virginia, in Washington, DC, in New York City, okay? So there are so many strong jurisdictional ties with my client in the United States of America that we have a total and complete, not only stronger case, but much different case than the existing case. And like I said, even if that case is dismissed, it doesn't affect us at all. We're full steam ahead on our 3 causes of actions.
Okay, so can I open it up for questions? Anybody? Yep.
Hi, I'm Andres Avery. Thanks for being here, both of you. So my question is, what do you make of the trial in Saudi Arabia of the alleged perpetrators?
Yeah. Hanan, do you want to answer that, or you want me to answer that? I mean, I think everybody knows it was a sham trial. Our understanding is that, you know, they pretended to put them on trial and give them harsh sentences and then rebuke their sentences, and they're allowed to live in luxurious surroundings. So it's no question all of those men were agents of the Saudi government. But it was a sham trial. That's why we want to get Jamal's devices before they're sent to Saudi, because the Turkish trial in Saudi Arabia is probably going to be the same kind of shammy trial that the existing one was. Hanan, do you want to weigh in on that?
No, I agree. And I don't believe there is a fair and clear justice for my husband tragedy out of US. That's why I believe I taken a right decision to come here, because even if the trial remain in Turkey, I don't trust. And I believe it's only a matter of misusing his tragedy for a political and economic pressure.
Someone else? Please.
Hi, I'm Kate. If you're successful in getting his devices back, do you worry that they may have been tampered with?
Yeah, sure we do. But here's the great thing. Technology, the way it is, the company that I hired, along with Citizen Lab that Dana brought in, has a unique ability to do a deep dive into those devices. And so while there might be the ability, for instance, of NSO Pegasus spyware to erase itself once it's installed, we can find traces of that. And that's what we did with enhanced devices. I believe there are 3 possible instances as to why we're not getting devices. One, for the exact reason you just said, perhaps they were tampered with, and they're apart right now. Number 2, maybe the government of Turkey installed the NSO spyware on Jamal's devices. Maybe it was the government of Turkey that was watching Jamal for a variety of reasons. He was a very high profile journalist.
Sorry for interrupt. I do
Go
have
ahead.
evidence about the Turkish themselves was watching my husband. I didn't have a chance to share it with you guys, if you allow it me. Before I ran away from United Arab Emirates in February 2020, I did meet with a journalist, Turkish journalist. He speaks Arabic. His name Muhammad Zahid Gul. He's a chief of a dependent Turkish version. And he told me The Turkish intelligence was watching your husband. They taped a conversation with me. He talking about himself. He was sitting with Jamal in a coffee shop in Istanbul in May 2018. And this conversation, Jamal was consulting Mohammed Zahid Gul about the idea to buy a flat in Turkey to get the nationality, to get the shelter, and to get the health insurance and whatever benefit for him. This conversation in May 2018 being taped by the Turkish intelligence, and Mohammed Zayed Gol told me in February 2020, before I ran away from United Arab Emirates, he said, can you believe even Turkish intelligence was watching your husband? I'm sure they are implemented, they put something, the Turkish themselves put it in my husband's devices. That's why they did not hand it over either to Saudi, and that's why they not responding back to me to give me my husband devices.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And the third reason is, of course, unlike before when Jamal was killed, the Turks and the Saudis have now politically kissed and made up. Because of that, they're not going to turn those devices over, especially if it implicates their brothers, the Saudis.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, one last one. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, Hanan, have you experienced any of the like online harassment and the trolls since coming to the US, or do you have like a sense that the Saudi government is still trying to get to you? What is that?
You're talking about after I ran away and I'm here in US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel over my devices and my email, I feel funny stuff, but I think they will hesitate. They will be crazy to try to do something for me here. As much I can from my side, I'm very discreet. I'm not associated. I'm just go to my work, come back, close my door. That's it. My surrounding is very little, my communication. A lot of people try to come to my life and I feel strange. I just push them back. This the feeling I'm in it now. I'm not, I don't feel, but they might be one of them crazy, do something for me in a public place, but I don't feel like what I did was feeling in Middle East. This is what I can tell you. Yeah. I feel more they come to my my devices, strange email, strange stuff, which has happened with me always, and it's very fishy. This is what I can share with you so far.
Yeah. So just finally, Hanan, how are you feeling now about your life here? You have a good job now, right? And you have maybe met some friends, and just as a human being, how's your life now?
Still, it is very controlled. I don't have a normal life. I feel comfortable to talk to you, to Miss Randa. Very little surrounding, to my lawyer, the immigration lawyer. That's it. But otherwise, because everybody curious to know, if they know my personality, if they know who I am, they wanted to know, they wanted to share, and I don't want to share a lot of things. It's quite sensitive, and I don't know it will leak for who. It will leak for Qatari, which is they are absolutely, they shade me. They managed to succeed. Qatari managed to succeed to use the media absolutely to dismiss me, and the way they handle my news is very funny. And as well, the Saudi, they wanted to bury this case. They don't want anyone to remind my husband, but I'm not silent. Jamal Khashoggi, I will bring justice for my husband. Okay. This is what I can say.
All right. Well, thank you to both of you so much for coming in, and wishing you the best, and I'll be in touch. I'd really love to hear a little bit more about what you're talking about in terms of the new evidence or new cases.
Thank you very much. Allow it to me to say something related to the first question from the gentleman just in front of you, when he said, how can you balance? I can share with you guys, Jamal Khashoggi paid a very heavy price. Jamal Khashoggi was suffering with sleep, with eating, with his toilet. He was asking me about how we balance. We try as much we can, because we come from unique region with no human right, no democratic, and a lot of miserable life. We went through very bad challenge. I can tell you guys, my husband died 100 times before he been killed in Turkey. My husband died since he ran away from Saudi Arabia. I used to hide the medicine for him, for he can have an easy toilet, bring it from Dubai. When I hug him and sleep, Jamal used to shake. He cannot sleep. I have to carry a medicine with me when we go out to give it to him before he eat, for he can keep a food in his stomach. This is the price, guys, we paid before he being killed. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing.